Greetings, Aztec faithful. Welcome to Aztecs All In, the podcast that goes all in on San Diego State sports. I'm Weiner along with Steve Perez, two Aztec alums who just can't get enough of San Diego State sports. Coming up on this episode of Aztecs All In, the TV schedule is pretty much set for San Diego State football, and the kickoff times for most of the home games are set as well.
A number of Aztec women qualify to compete in the NCAA Track and Field Championships coming up in Eugene, Oregon. We'll talk to one who's a two-time Mountain West Conference champion and national qualifier coming up.
Here it is, the beginning of June. Basketball's over. All the spring sports are pretty much done. And it's dead time, right? As far as sports and San Diego State. But we can look ahead to football season. AztecFast, Sean Lewis, debuting his newfangled, exciting offense that will be hopefully running up and down the field at Snapdragon Stadium this season. So we finally know the kickoff times, and no, there is no 1 p.m. or noon kickoff like that Arizona game a couple of years ago, the sweltering heat, when most of the fans stayed in the confines of their club sections or wandering around getting food and doing anything but sitting in their seats because it was so darn hot. But not this year. Now, San Diego State kicks off the season August 31st against Texas A&M Commerce at Snapdragon Stadium with the kickoff time TBA to be announced. But I can virtually guarantee you that it will not be a early afternoon kickoff. This is going to be, no doubt, a mid-afternoon, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock kickoff as San Diego State fans get their first look at Sean Lewis's offense. That is August 31st. The first home game that we do know the time for, Saturday, September 7th, against Oregon State at Snapdragon Stadium. That game will be televised on CBS Sports Network. And, of course, Oregon State and Washington State, the two remaining members of the Pac-12, they did not have a football schedule until a few months ago. They made a deal with the Mountain West Conference to play the Mountain West Conference teams. And in return, the Mountain West Conference teams will each play one fewer conference game. But the Oregon State and Washington State games do not count in the standings, okay? So you'll recall San Diego State, it was almost a year ago, the whole conference fiasco where all fans were hoping and wishing for a bid to the Pac-12 conference that just sort of whiffed and dissipated in August when the Pac-12 just suddenly went away. Well, those teams will be playing, both of them, here at Snapdragon Stadium this year. And the first of those two teams, Saturday, September 7th, that will be Oregon State, and that is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. If you like late kickoffs, then this schedule is for you because most of the home games are going to be late kickoffs. Saturday, September 14th, San Diego State travels to Cal, and that again is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff, and that is the only nationally televised game this season for San Diego State on ESPN. So, of course, ESPN no longer involved with the Mountain West Conference. For the past few years, it's CBS Sports Network primarily, and Fox or FS1 primarily. Then Saturday, September 21st is an open date. So that's a bye, just a few games into the season. And then Saturday, September 28th, the Aztecs will travel to Central Michigan. And again, no time on that as of yet. But San Diego State returns home on Saturday, October 5th for a 5 p.m. kickoff against Hawaii, and that is a conference game. That is the first conference game of the season for San Diego State. That will be broadcast on the CBS Sports Network. And how important is it for Sean Lewis's team to get off to a good start this year in conference play? 1-0 in conference play would just look great. And then their second game in the conference, October 12th at Wyoming, which is 1:30 on CBS Sports Network. Wyoming is definitely a game San Diego State could win. So opening up the season 2-0 in conference is a possibility, and then the Aztecs get another bye. So it's 3 games, a bye, 3 games, and another bye. And then when San Diego State comes home again on October 26th, there is that second game against the former, or I guess the remaining Pac-12 teams, this time Washington State, and that is a 7:30 kickoff. So both the Oregon State and Washington State games are 7:30 kickoffs on CBS Sports Network. Following week, at Boise State, that's Friday, November 1st, San Diego State playing the defending Mountain West Conference champions, Boise State. That is a 6 o'clock kickoff on FS1. That will be followed by the Lobos of New Mexico coming to Snapdragon Stadium on Friday, November 8th. That is a 7:30 kickoff. Again, I told you most of these home games are 7:30 kickoffs. This one is on FS1. Following week, San Diego State travels to UNLV for another 7:30 kickoff on the CBS Sports Network. Then at Utah State on Saturday, November 23rd. That is a 1:30 kickoff on CBS Sports Network. And then Saturday, November 30th is a home game against the Air Force. And while we do know it will be on the Fox networks, we don't know which one. And that game does not have a kickoff time yet. So the kickoff time for that will be based on the standings and whether the game has implications for the Mountain West Championship. So we will have to wait and see what the time is for the Air Force game. And Friday, December 6th, is the Mountain West Conference Championship game that will kick off at 5 p.m. on Big Boy Fox. And we can only hope that San Diego State will be in that, and if that's the case, hopefully hosting it at Snapdragon Stadium. Over the past few weeks here on Aztecs All In, we've been able to bring you more information about the sports that you may not be too familiar with. Women's tennis, we talked with Peter Matera, the coach of the Aztec women's tennis team. We brought you Aztec softball information. Of course, the Aztec golf team was in the NCAAs. So it's an exciting time of year for the sports, I guess you would call them Olympic sports, that you don't hear a lot about. Well, we have one more today. Steve Perez is going to introduce you to one of San Diego State's premier track and field athletes. Steve?
Thank you, Lewis. Her name is Jenna Fee Feyerabend, and for the Aztecs, you might say she competes in the sum of all the events in track and field. We are Aztecs All In, and you'd be hard-pressed to find an Aztec who isn't more all-in than Jenna. A rare breed of Aztec indeed. 2-time Mountain West Conference champion in track and field in the Hepthalon. She'll compete soon in the NCAA Championships in Portland, Oregon, qualifying for the second year in a row, this time by virtue of her performance in the Mount Sac relays in April. The HEP, as the kids call it these days, is perhaps the most demanding of all events. Now picture this, Lewis. Day 1, you're competing in 4 events. First there's the 100-meter hurdles, then the high jump, then the shot put, and follow it up with 200 meters. Then there's day 2, long jump, javelin, and the 800 meter. The junior is a native of Germany, and she was kind enough to phone in to Aztecs All In. 7 track and field events over 2 days. Just imagine that. Training, preparing, competing, qualifying at a national level. She told me the few weeks leading up to such an event are less about training and more about fine-tuning and focusing in on specific aspects that would help improve her own performance. And, of course, resting. We started out by asking her what it's like after competing in so many events in such a short period of time.
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely fulfilled and going through a lot of emotions, but I always feel just satisfied in the end and just wow, I really did that. The last 2 days were a challenge, but I overcame it, and I'm always tired after, but not even for that long. It's more just the adrenaline kicking in about the celebration afterwards.
I have to issue a hat tip. Maybe could you take us through one of the track events and then whatever your favorite field event is, and what sort of discipline is required, and what sort of things you're working on as you're trying to compete in those events?
So for the track event, it's kind of even hard to like differentiate, because like I would say in all of the events there's a lot of like trust and confidence needed, and also perseverance. But I'm gonna pick the 200 meter for the track event. I've been really working on my speed the last couple of years, and I would say basically going into the 200, it's kind of like a long sprint. It's not the 100, which is kind of more comfortable. You just sprint and it's already over. For the 200 is more of a basically setting the race up the right way. It's all out all the time, but it's about staying really calm and confident throughout the whole race, with your posture and everything. And then when it comes to something like shot put or javelin, it's all about really trusting the technique and hitting the right positions before you can release that final adrenaline, power, energy that you have in your arm and your legs. So it's a lot of timing and trust, and that's all built within the workouts for me.
It seems like something that you would have to be adept at a number of different skill levels in order to just to be competitive in all those events. You have to be able to run pretty fast and powerfully and have a little bit of cardio endurance. And then also for those field events, you have to have a little coordination and some strength as well.
Yeah, so basically the HEP, it's like, we always call it like the queen and king event of track and field, because you are basically the sum of all the events that really exist, or at least of most of them that exist, and you kind of try to cover like all the abilities that a track athlete has, or is like supposed to have. I would generally say that you try to be as balanced as possible, but definitely focus on your strengths to not get lost in your weaknesses. For me personally, I've always been pretty balanced in all of the events, because I think that's also my advantage, that I am really balanced in all of the events, but definitely my potential is in the sprints, and then also in the distance. So just like the running events, especially the technical things, since I grew up in Europe, we focus a lot on technique. So that's kind of where my background is from. But yeah, definitely it is all about being as balanced as possible, and also just being able to adapt to a specific situation.
That pretty much sounds like it's a regimen that requires a lot of training and maintenance throughout the entire year.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I feel like it's always easy to pinpoint the HEP on the team, because it's like, that's the person who comes first and the person who leaves the track as like the last one. And every time when my teammates are like seeing me still on the track, they're like, "Oh, are you done?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm doing this other event now." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, holy moly, like that's a lot." So yeah, it's definitely like I lock the track in the end of the day. But it's fun because I just get to like do different things, and if something doesn't go as good as I wanted to go, I still have another event to basically push myself in that area.
Well, talk a little bit about your journey to San Diego State, and also as someone who found the heptathlon as a sort of a specialty, because it is a pretty specialized field. Can you talk about where the development and where you developed the aptitude for it, and how you got interested in it, and how you came to San Diego State?
I grew up in a track and field family. My parents both did multis, so they both were heptathletes, and my dad was a decathlete. Which basically means he's doing 10 events and my mom was doing 7 events. That's how it's done between female and male.
Yeah.
I know, it's quite a lot. But I think I always kind of stood up because I was the girl who was able to run, throw, and jump. And there was never like an event where I was like, oh gosh, now it comes where I'm like really just have so much potential and I'm still trying to figure it out. I was just, I think, kind of blessed with the fact that I was born into a track family. And my passion just developed over the years because I saw my parents do it. I saw their athletes doing it. I basically grew up on the track. So I tried out every other sport throughout middle school, high school, elementary school. But I stick to track, and it's been fun ever since. And my journey kind of like coming to San Diego was I knew that the support I needed while earning a degree and doing my sports career was kind of more tricky for me in my home country. So I decided to broaden my horizon and like look into opportunities overseas. And I got in contact with the coach, Shalia Burrell, and I really loved her philosophy about training and like her communication with her athletes and everything. And she has been a Olympic heptathlete herself, so I really got to connect with her on a deeper level as athlete and coach, and also just like friends of life. And that was basically like the biggest thing that drew me to San Diego State, my connection with Shalia Burrell, and then especially like the location and everything. And yeah, that's kind of been the recruiting process, which is it's definitely longer and a little bit more complicated than if you are from the U.S. yourself.
Correct.
But it's definitely been worth it, and my connection just has been growing ever since.
I notice you're a journalism major and you're a junior. How are you feeling about scholastically as far as the studies, and do you have any thoughts on the whole academic discipline and the process there?
I've definitely been enjoying studying journalism here at SDSU. The department is super supportive. I always feel welcomed and at home, and I always get the advice I need from the professors. It's been just great overall, and I was able to maintain a 4.0 over all of my semesters so far, so I had never really had challenges with the academic stuff, just also because in Europe, high school is definitely more gravitated towards college structure, so I've just kind of been used to the workload and all that stuff from coming from Germany. But overall, I just really enjoy my experience here, and just like me being able to do my work to the extent that I am doing it right now while still earning a degree is just amazing. I am on my own, so my family's at home. I do see them once or twice a year. That has been hard for me, definitely, especially as an only child. I've have a really like close bond to my family. But you know, I've been growing with the challenges, and I kind of like surprised myself with what I'm able to handle. And I had an injury in the last season, like in the indoor season, which is why I had to redshirt that season, because I was unable to compete out of medical reasons, because I sprained my ankle really badly during a practice accident. So that's kind of an adversity, but also throughout that whole process, just having be able to call them, contact my friends here, and having like a support system surrounding Shalia Burrell has just been a big blessing for me.
Have you been through it's called Aztecs Turning Pro? I know we did an interview at one point about that whole program that all the athletes are more or less required to be involved in.
Yeah, I love that program. I love Danielle Kelly. I love working with Timothy together, and it's been amazing just to be able to connect with professionals. Also, we had a mock interview. We were able to kind of experience what it's like to get interviewed by someone who was offering a position in a company. I just really like that class because it feels like you're really being supported as an athlete and a human being.
You do have the nationals coming up. What are you looking to get out of that whole experience? It's a pretty competitive. You're stepping out of the conference and you're stepping up in class to a national level.
Yeah. First of all, I'm super excited to be able to compete at nationals next week. Friday and Saturday is when my heptathlon is going to take place in Oregon, Eugene. I have been competing twice already at national championships for the San Diego State University. So I'm just extremely grateful and proud that I was able to still, after my injury, to overcome all of these challenges and now be able to compete at national level again, and just just totally enjoy the competition and trust the work that I've been putting in. And I definitely hope for a trophy in the end.
Congratulations on your success. I really, again, tip my hat to you for the discipline and the athletic ability that you have to possess to compete in all of those events. I hope the people who are listening develop a little of appreciation. All they got to do is maybe go to a park and try to sprint a little bit and grab something and throw it and then do that another 4 or 5 times, and maybe they'll get a sense for the challenge of it.
Yeah, totally.
Is there anything else you'd like to add or that you'd like people to know that maybe we haven't talked about?
Maybe just that everything starts with an interest. Like if you're interested in sports, or if you see like things like, oh, I'm kind of good at something, like pursue that passion. And if sometimes it opens door that you would have never thought. Like I never thought I would live in San Diego someday and be able to do my sports while earning a degree. So it's definitely worth just like opening some doors up while following your passion. So just, stick to what's most fun to you, and it might open doors that you would have never expected to open for you.
Well, thank you very much, Jenna, and good luck in the nationals, and congratulations on the years of success you've had here.
Thank you. It was an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Steve, and best of luck to Jenna, who is 13th among the 24 competitors in the heptathlon competition. Hopefully she brings it home for San Diego State. And she's not the only athlete competing at the national championships. In the 400-meter dash, Shekinah Foote will be competing for San Diego State. 6 athletes will participate in the women's 4x100-meter relay. Hannah Waller, Jada Moore, Shekinah Foote, Aji Mabai, Jada Pierre, and Olivia Hicks. And in the women's triple jump, Zamara Young will be participating for San Diego State. Steve, bring us home.
Lewis, guess that brings us to the finish line of this edition of Aztecs All In. Don't forget, you can drop us a line and maybe even email us a link to a take of your own to share with our followers at aztecsallin@gmail.com. You can also follow us on the X, that used to be Twitter, at Aztecs_all_in. So for Lewis Weiner, Steve Perez saying it's time for us to line up on our marks, get set, and go.